Maybe if you allow me to go back a little bit and speak about the different industry revolutions. Yeah, so today the technology is bringing to us when we listen to all the communications today about the smart building and smart solutions for different industries. Basically, this is part of what's called IR 4.0, or Industry Revolution 4.0. And just to make it more relevant to the audience, if I may touch on the previous industries also, IR 1.0, 2, and 3. And if we get on one, for example, the steam engine, that was the first industrial revolution. And with the steam engine, it brought a lot of ecosystem industrial revolution around it, including the agriculture tractors and the developing of the agriculture industry. The transportation and trains also was built on this technology innovation, and so on. Second industrial revolution was the electricity, third was the internet. So today you are talking about new technological innovations, which is like what you said, 5G, AI, cloud, big data, blockchain. These are the main new technological innovation that brings to us Industry 4.0. And with Industry 4.0, then you can transform a lot of business models in different areas. I will not talk about the smart buildings in particular because I think we already listened to very good discussion and presentation this morning about the smart buildings. But to give you some other examples from different industries, if we back, for example, on the oil and gas industry. Again, it is very similar talking about the safety and connectivity. Today, most of the oil fields are actually run in a manual way, almost 75% of it, where the technicians and the engineers need to go and read the meters, the flow meter, the pressure meter, the temperature meter, and so on. They need to go and read the meters and collect this data in a kind of manual or semi-manual way, and then go to the control room to analyze this data and then decide what they need to do and what not to do. And most probably it is in a reactive way. With the new technologies, now you can connect all this system together into one device, and this device can send all the data in real time into the control room. And then instead of having this number of engineers on site, of course that's a safety concern and a cost concern and time concern as well, you will be able to see all the data on the screen in real time, and then you can manage the oil field from the control room. You can manage the production if you decide to. There are, of course, some concerns about that. They prefer to have only the monitoring part. But also you can leverage this technology for other aspects, like if you have a fault, for example, and like what our colleague from Johnson Control mentioned. If you have a fault and you need to have an engineer who's sitting currently in Texas and you want to consult him on the problem, then you can actually do a live streaming for that engineer in Texas to see what is happening on the ground, and then he can guide the technician on the ground to fix the problem. So that's just one example. If we give another example from the mining industry, again, this is one of the most high-risk industries, and a lot of accidents happen in there. So with the new technology, talking about 5G in particular and the low latency, you can have what's called automatic guided vehicles and autonomous cars, of course, as well. And with that, you can run the vehicles that you need to have the drivers to run it in the mine from the control room. That could be 100 kilometers away from the mine itself. And we have implemented more than hundreds of these. So number of applications for different industries are transforming the business models of these industries based on the new technology innovation, and that's what's called Industry 4.0.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. Thank you very much. So with all these technology changes and the impact on the business, what we can also foresee is a complete shift in terms of skills, in terms of talents, in terms of learning development for the employees and for the entire industry. So, Mr. Suresh, what are your views on this evolution in terms of skills and talent management?
Yeah, good morning to all of you. We just seen a presentation by the person from Johnson Control talking about the power of technology in your hand. But the real challenge today, what the industry, especially the construction industry, faces is, do we have the competent hands? See, the entire industry, if you look at it, it was a brick and mortar business. Let's be very clear. 5 years back, 4 years back, the entire industry was a brick and mortar. It's a normal engineering. We may talk about a little bit of automation. These are all part and parcel of it. But if you look at the last couple of years, thanks to COVID, there's a huge paradigm shift has taken place. The artificial intelligence to machine learning, 3D printing, robotics, everything has come to this particular field. See, I'm part of Tata Group. We have got huge number of people working world around on technology, innovation, etc. But unless you have got the people with hand, brain to handle it, execute it. See, SIBCA, I work with a lot of projects in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Qatar, everywhere with all these automations. If you don't have the competent people to handle it, the skilled people to handle it, it's going to be a big challenge. The traditional sources of manpower that comes to this part, whether it is technician to engineers to those high technocrat people, that is getting depleted. So my humble request to organizations today, which is working, see, we have to admit one thing, Middle East is the fastest growing technological country, especially, I was yesterday in Saudi Arabia. We use a very common word outside UAE, it's UAE-centric. When I say UAE-centric, UAE is the epicenter of all the development that takes place in this particular region. I think we need to have the local people, the local citizens trained for taking up these challenges because the traditional sources are depleting. That's an area where you need, unless this gap is not attended, all these innovations, all these new technologies, all these new schemes which are happening all around the world, the implementation become a big challenge. So my humble request to each organization, including that of mine, invest in training, invest in skilling up, invest in bringing up people in the region so that we become future ready, we become future proof. More than anything, we have got a huge power, the intelligent power which is resting, which we are not tapped properly. That's our women force. This industry has got less number of men, but it's an opportunity. There are a lot of people available. I would like to see a building coming up with 50%. I will not use the word called man, women. That's an area where all these technologies will take us to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suresh. And echoing to what you say, I heard many times that digital transformation is not really about technology, but more about people, use of technology.
Absolutely.
Another key trend that I would like to explore with you and with Sam in particular. We heard during the presentation this morning the importance of the volume of data that is generated, the importance of the networks, and therefore the bandwidth that is offered to us. This generates tremendous volume of data, and therefore a lot more focus on the customer centricity and the experience in the industry and in the smart building of our world. So how do you see this trend affecting our industry in terms of operating and business model once again?
Yeah, so I think probably there's three different stakeholders when we talk about the information and the vast quantity of information. And if you think that we're making millions of detectors a year, come to the Middle East, they're going to SIBCA, India, ANZ, America, and actually in that audience we've now got customers that are the building owners that are interested in a specific set of data, customers that are SIBCA who are interested in another level, and then us. And historically, as we've shipped our fire detectors out, that's the last we've heard of it as a manufacturer, and the only feedback we get for product development or for improvement is through voice of customers and anecdotal feedback. But actually, if we talk about being able to connect these systems for their lifespan, then we could improve the service, the delivery, the technology that we offer people based on trends in markets. So that's quite important for us as a manufacturer. That's, if we could stay connected to those systems, we could see devices in the Middle East get dirtier quicker. We get more pre-alarms in North Africa than South Africa at certain times of the year. So that would allow us to improve our technology and be far more customer-centric on our delivery. Then if we talk about how SIBCA might want to use this information, then SIBCA want to offer professional services where they can speak to a building owner in advance about the age of the system, the quality of the system, the behaviour of the fire alarm over a long period of time with trended data, not surprises. So allowing the financing of a building to be planned rather than surprises, because in our experience people don't like surprises and big bills. People like to be able to plan their budgets, certainly in today's kind of model with the way we finance projects. So then if we talk about the final person, the building owner, well, we've got all this information, but what information is relevant to them? I think, like Jason said earlier, well, people look at fire panels and it frightens them. So how do we get the information in front of the building owner where they can look at that on the palm of their hand and not be scared, but see what they need to see what isolations or what faults, or get some artificial intelligence to that person so they can make some informed decisions. So I think from our perspective, it's understanding and making sure that the information we give to those relevant parties is executable and relevant over a 5, 10, 20-year period of time.
Thank you, Sam. And I'm now equipped with a mic that will probably not create all this noise. So, going a bit further towards these trends of creating volume of data that can be leveraged in terms of operating models, customer centricity, and way to deliver the value of the services. What about data monetization? And for this, I would like to ask Mr. Ara your perspective in terms of transforming this into a revenue stream for organizations.
Sure. Yeah, so basically data is the new oil. Yeah, that's what everyone is saying, and it is the truth. This is the reality. It is the future. And if we look at the digital economy and the growth and the investment in the digital economy, it's a reflection of this fact. It's all about the data. And if we notice sometimes when you think of something or discuss something with a friend or your wife or anyone sitting next to you, and then all of a sudden you see the phone bringing you an ad to say, if you're talking about cars, for example, will be bringing you the latest models of cars and the prices and the nearest car reseller next to you, and so on and so forth. So these basically are algorithms. Of course, we need to talk about the privacy and that perspective as well. But these are algorithms that you have on different systems to start to generate more information from the data that's collected to bring more value to you. Just to give you a couple of examples, if we look at the digital banking, so the traditional way of doing banking today, which of course is much better than before. We're doing now everything almost online from the phone or from the computer compared to visiting the banks. I don't remember honestly when was the last time I visited my bank. Yet when we're talking about digital banking, it's a different era. We're talking about having everything you need to do today from one application. That's your bank application. So for example, again, if it is your wedding and you want to buy flowers or you want to buy a gift for your wife, you will be able to do that from your banking application itself. It will remind you at the right occasions that you need to buy this or that. If you want to buy a car, the application itself is connected to the different car providers, connected to the different car insurance companies. And then it will be a click where you will agree with the bank for what installments you will be paying and what kind of cars they will be providing and what kind of insurance will be done. If you look at it, this all is a kind of monetization of the data that your bank have in the application of your bank. So that application of the bank will be doing everything that you want to do, from buying grocery to buying a car to getting married to everything that you could think of. This is an easy, good example. The other good example is everything to do with the e-commerce, right? So again, having the data of your end users, the system will be recommending for you, saying, I recommend this product or this solution for you. This is again another example of how to monetize the data we have in the different systems. The very easy one again is Uber. Yeah, again that's another. All what the Uber own is a kind of an application and the data of customers, and based on that they are getting 15 or 20% from every driver and for every trip. If we go more into the industries and talking, for example, about the agriculture industry. Now the system using AI and using different pattern and algorithm, they can tell you what kind of seed to use what time do you plant it, of the year, of the month, of the day, to get the best products. How much water do you need to put into the soil, and you have sensors in the soil that will tell you, and again that's data, how humid the soil is, and if you need to add more water or not, what quantity, what time of the day, and if it is a rainy day or a rainy month, maybe you don't need to have any water, and hence again sustainability and saving of money and bringing more opportunities and new models of business. And I think this is the outcome that we need to think of. So technology is good. Yes, it is driving a mega change. People are very important because they need to run it, and everything is about people. But at the same time, we need to think about the outcome for every industry, because it is not one size fits all, but every industry and every organization have their own challenges and their own opportunity that they can leverage on this technological transformation to capture the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sara.
Sure.
And so with the customer centricity, with the data monetization and the changes in the business model, there is another trend I would like to discuss with you, gentlemen, which is the interconnection of supply chains and the interconnection of ecosystems. So we talked about the oil and gas, where engineers can be remotely guided by any kind of manufacturer or provider. How do you see the integration of ecosystems, supply chains in our industry changing the ways of working and the business?
It's a great question, actually. That exactly the crux of any technological implementation that's really, whether it get accelerated or decelerated, actually. See, individually, it's all like silos. If you take the technological development, it's all happening in silos. Even if you just take the buildings, some of the items like building management systems or the access control, the fire alarm, these are all in silos. It all develops. But if it's not integrated well to the benefit of the end user, and if it's not going to reduce, see, someone presented about the computer-aided or the software, IoT or MOT-based facility management, etc. So it's very essential to have integration of everybody. It's like, we are just going to watch the football in the next few days. Imagine we have got only one Lionel Messi and balance everybody is an ordinary player. Do you think the team can win? It cannot. So you need all these 11 players and the standby players of another 4 or 5 to be brought up to that level. So each one of us, if we believe that we are technologically advanced, we are innovative, we are very creative, we are future ready, it's better, let's take our neighbor up. Who's our neighbor? Other stakeholders. The company which do the wiring up, the company which builds up. See, the entire industry, if you look at it, is going into the traditional way of working to something called volumetric construction. Singapore is a classic example. We work in Singapore. Singapore are actually going from a traditional working style to a completely innovative working style where we reduce the number of blue-collar workers, the dependency on various companies, various other countries, etc. So that's an area where we need to bring every team member up to the scale. Even if that team member happened to be a competitor, bring him up. Educate him. Give him the tools and the digital, especially the digital tools. Bring him up to the level where the ecosystem works. I always use in my organization something like you're running a relay race. You can be the best runner in the world. But if other 3 runners cannot run at your speed, the team is going to fail. So, humble submission to the clients here, the contractors here, supply chain here. Just look at who are all your stakeholders, who are all the people around you, who are all the companies around you. Bring them up to a level where they are going to perform much better than you. That's where your product and service is going to be counted at a much faster way, and that's going to be a USP for each one of us.
And Mr. Thani, so we touched about the industrial revolution, we touched about the importance of people and skills, the volume of data and the impact it has on the centricity, and the data monetization, the supply chain integration. One aspect that I would like to address with you, we had the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we would like to hear your views in terms of the importance of technology and the importance of energy management sustainability in our industry, and how do you see that impacting our industry in the future?
Thanks, Malik. Actually, it's just, you mentioned energy management and sustainability, and people sometimes use these terms interchangeably. So energy management is to reduce energy, right, in the building. Sustainability is much bigger than that. Energy management is a part of the sustainability, but sustainability is much bigger than that. Sustainability is looking at the building and the footprint, the carbon footprint of the building, and how we can reduce it. Again, reducing energy is one of them, but using different type of energy is decarbonization as well. So definitely the building industry is playing a big, very important role in that, and something like the COP27, COP28 will unlock a lot of investment for us to develop more and more sustainability solutions. Regulations now is all about how we decarbonize. There's about 50 countries out of the that produce about 65% of the emission in the world signed that treaty, signed that agreement, and they want now to reduce the carbon emission. This will trickle down to our industry. This will trickle down as a regulation that we need to comply with, and this will push a lot of innovation in that field. Honeywell, for example, we have now a sustainability manager software that is dedicated for these activities to monitor the buildings and the life cycle of the building, and give all the KPIs, the dashboards to support the tenants and the building owners to achieve the sustainability goals.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fahmy. So, with that, we understand that technology is bringing not just business opportunities, but synergy opportunities across the industry, the capability to develop new and differentiated services. One aspect that it can bring as well, I suppose, is an evolution in the regulation. And with these aspects, I would like to hear your views about the potential impact of data privacy, data protection in the regulation in the future, based on all this volume of data that we are talking about, and the impact it may have on businesses, individuals, and therefore the way regulation protects our ecosystem and industry.
Yeah, so the Internet of Things, I think earlier on you talked about bricks and mortar, and yeah, I think the fact that the information is now being used freely, or it's more available, is certainly a challenge for us as an industry, because we're not particularly quickly moving. And I think the gentleman from UL was talking earlier on about, because it's fire safety, for us fire detection specifically, information, sharing information, and what that information is used for is actually quite critical, and our regulations don't tend to move as quickly as maybe security regulations do, or kind of, you know, cameras. People deal with cameras, know how quickly they can change. So we also have the added complexity with some of the information storage. If we talk about some of the Middle East specific, whereby any information that's then stored has got to be in region. So we can't take the information out of region. Okay, so we've got to keep it in a certain place with those servers, and that's something that we all have to consider. And then, if we're going to pass information, if we talk about the Internet of Things, and we talk about passing the information in both directions, then from a fire detection perspective again specifically, we are mindful about the implication the building management system might have on the execution of a fire output, whether that be dropping the gas, evacuating the building that Jason was talking about earlier on. So stability is really, really important for us with the fire detection system, and what and how it gets affected by other things. So at the moment, I guess we would say that traditionally we're sending information in one direction, and then the BMS is collecting that and putting it together. If we talk about storing the information, it's all got to be in region. And if we talk about systems controlling the fire alarm that aren't fire alarm, I would say at the moment, then that's probably some distance away. I would expect us still to have if you've got a mailbox on your phone, a mailbox on your laptop, and you have mailbox on the phone wins, you know, that will kind of be the psychology in our minds at the moment with fire detection systems. So as far as the data storage goes and I guess the management of that, it's quite different to cybersecurity, storing information and what it's used for and how it's used and who allowed you to use it. And I think we'll see, to the earlier kind of comment I made, I think we'll see that when we're entering agreements with people in the future. I think we will be signing agreements, or they will be signing agreements to say that they don't mind the manufacturer and SIBCA looking at that information to add value to their business, you know? So I think that probably there will be a change in the way that we contract between us, SIBCA, and eventually the building owner as well.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I think this change of way of dealing with information and the ability to leverage this information is essential. And Mr. Fahmy, last question is for you. So we talked about a lot of technology. Technology use is obviously improving ways of doing business, but also the potential risks and the exposure in terms of cybersecurity and cyber safety. Again, your views, please, in terms of potential evolution of the regulation and also the ways of working in our industry related to these growing risks and attitude for the organizations.
Thanks, Malik. The cybersecurity risk, unfortunately, in the building is very underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it. Regulations are there, but they're more like recommendations than regulations. But the cybersecurity risk in the building operation is really, really high. I mean, not a lot of people know that a lot of the cyber attack, like the denial of service and all this, are done through the building systems, like the cameras or the card readers or anything that has IP. You can embed your virus, and when you need it, you can call it. Now, you can say that, okay, I can ask my IT system, the servers, to block that. Good luck with that, because you're blocking your cameras now, and you have now two risks: physical security and cyber security. So we really need to take that risk much more seriously. A few years back, we developed with UL, we developed the first UL cap security for cameras, where you develop the regulations inside the cameras, where you have to have crypto chip on the camera and certain regulations in the software as well. Again, more and more of these regulations are coming out, but we as industry, manufacturers, users, building specifiers, building owners, we need to take that risk much more seriously because it's serious. Data protection, if I hack into the system, I can steal all this information. That could cost us a lot of money as well, because you need to compensate for all this or protect yourself. Cybersecurity breaches are costing trillions of dollars between ransomwares and failure of system, uptime, and all this. So definitely regulations are getting there, more on the software than the hardware side, but I'm hoping that with the help of UL, we're going to be much more advanced in that field.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And with that, I would like to maybe ask if there is any question in the room for our panelists. So thank you very much to the four of you. It was a very insightful session.